The devastation of Cyclone Idai in Zimbabwe is becoming evident in the aftermath. Over 260 people have now been confirmed dead, with hundreds still missing. Our reporter Michael Apple and cameraman Lingenda Bambi recently joined Gift of the Givers and the SAPS K9 team on their mission to locate bodies of those who perished.
Cyclone Idai is the most devastating natural disaster to strike our northern neighbor Zimbabwe in recent history. The mountainous Chimanimani district bore the brunt of it.
The rain started around 7 p.m. and it was increasing. Now, those three dams burst around 9 o'clock, and the water started rushing down, washing all this you can see, making a river instant.
Oh, it was so frightening. There was some thunder accompanied by lightning, strong winds. Trees were being bent by the strong wind, and we heard some loud sounds of thunder and heavy showers for so many hours. It happened for so many hours during that night. I couldn't sleep. I was just afraid. I was scared. It was so dark.
The roof started shaking. The wind was very strong. You know, I thought it's what they call the hurricane from the sea. It was very strong, and I was so terrified that I couldn't do anything.
Now 3 weeks on since Cyclone Idai struck, it's unfortunately no longer about search and rescue, but rather about giving closure to families still digging in the mud for their loved ones.
Some were buried in the mud, but giving a signal of a hand out of the mud, then we knew there's somebody. Then this is how we detect to see.
So you were digging with your hands to get people out?
Yes, with hands, bare hands.
But my son now, as he came back to get out of the house, he thought the ground was still level, as they say. But it wasn't to be. It had been washed away. So as he stepped down the steps, he just fell into the water. And the guys said they couldn't hear anything about him. As they moved up that bush there, they had flashlights. Where are you, Tairo? Where are you, Tairo? There was no answer.
The force made the sand and rocks to slip onto our families' homes and everything. Our animals had to die.
Vaita washed it down. Then the same position.
What happened, the mud which were falling from the hill, it washed away the houses, and the two of his nephews were killed.
So all our big rivers, which are the Nyahode, Haroni, Umvumvumfu, Nyanyadzi, Rusitu, actually went into flash flood. So the rivers were flooded, but also now in places like Ngangu, Machongwe and Kopa, the amount of rain we received, it literally was all running off because it couldn't penetrate into the ground anymore. And this caused huge mudslides, landslides. But to make it worse, we actually experienced tremors, like earthquakes, during the cyclone itself. And this made it much worse because literally we had houses being swept away, entire houses with families sleeping in them, just being washed away by these mudslides, by rock. As you can see behind me, just this huge mass of rock coming down from the mountainside.
One of the badly affected areas in the Chimanimani district is an area called Kopa. The Gift of the Givers team, along with 4 sniffer dogs and search and rescue technicians, are being helicoptered into the area where at least 39 school children and the school principal's bodies remain missing. We're going to see if we can catch a lift. Constance, who are you looking for here? How long have you been looking for them?
Kutsvaga Susan Shoni, ungane mwana wako mwedzi nemavhiki mairi.
She's saying she's been here several weeks. She's looking for Susan and Mr. Mwendamweri. They all perished during the disaster, and she has been coming here for several days looking for her. And she is actually praying if she could find the bones just to keep or to make the matter rest.
Vanhu vachifambawo kuitawo kurwadziwa ngezviri kaitika munzvimbo ino.
Okay, she's saying when it happened, she was not around. She came on Saturday when she heard that cyclone has hit this area, only to discover that all the family members were taken away. But she's also saying she's very happy to see the teams that are here, and she's actually saying she's giving praise to them. So I'm happy. She's saying they feel better to see other people having that compassion to come here and assist looking for the dead ones.
I'm sitting on what used to be Kopa village. The massive boulders that you see are believed to have been the foundations of a dam 10 kilometers upriver that was washed down by the cyclone. Just in this vicinity, there are 207 people reported missing, and only 5 bodies have been recovered.
You look at those rocks and think to yourself, oh, that thing must weigh a ton plus, you know. How does water move something like that?
Tell me about the levels of devastation in terms of search and rescue, EMS work. Is this something that you've ever come across in your life?
The amount of devastation that I've seen here in Zimbabwe is unprecedented. I've never seen such disaster, if I can say it. The amounts of water that came through in the specific areas, I cannot comprehend of what came through there and what people really experienced. Those survivors are the only people that can tell the story.
Martin, what did you think about the levels of devastation, especially in the second place we were, Kopa?
Well, for me it was a first, you know. I've dealt with floods and so on before, and this for me, like I said, if a whole house, a brick house, everything just gone, you know, that you can see a piece of a wall with a plug laying on the ground. It just amazes me the devastation that water can cause, you know, especially that much water.
How do you think the dogs did, considering the conditions?
I think they did all right. Like I say, I mean, it was hot. The humidity took its toll on the dogs, but I think they did well under the circumstances. And the paws take a bit of strain, and the heat also plays a big role.
Is there a very good possibility that Zimbabwean families that are mourning are going to have to look for their loved ones potentially in Mozambique, or they're not going to find them at all?
Mike, I think you already gave the answer to that. They can search, but the chances of finding people with the amount of land mass that we've seen and the landscape that have changed, I think chances are very slim in recovering the remains of family members in those specific areas. The families that do discover their family members would be quite lucky.
There are sights, smells, sounds, and people who remain with us all long after the cameras turned off. The rebuilding must begin. But the pain here runs deep. Closure will remain elusive. Michael Apple in Chimanimani in Zimbabwe.